What do you got there, Josh?
Well, it's a $100 bill, but I don't know what to do with it.
You should donate to the ASD Foundation.
Or you know what, you can buy me a flute.
Yeah.
Or you could have one donated from the ASD Foundation.
What's the ASD Foundation?
Stay tuned, because
Education Today starts now.
What fields will you attach naming rights to? Where may some of these bricks memorials be located at on the new school campus?
Like I mentioned, as far as the bricks go, there's a couple of different design ideas. One design we took from another facility would have the bricks that would have what you want on them, whether it's your name or in memory of or whatever, would make up the walking surface, or there might be patterned walking surfaces that you might have a set of bricks in one area and then it'd be concrete and bricks in another area. Also, there could be brick walls that are actually made up. What we have envisioning is a kind of a walled in or fenced in, very nice looking common area before you would enter the facility through that. And the walls may be made up of that. I mentioned possibly a giving tree or a brick campaign up in the school's campus itself, and maybe a courtyard area or something of that nature. And as far as the fields go, we're looking at naming rights, for all of them. And that, like I said, would involve tennis courts, soccer fields, or one soccer field, the baseball and softball field. And then as far as the football field, that's where we're looking. We could have naming rights for the whole athletic complex as a whole. The field house could have a naming attached to it, separate from the field itself, which could be separate from, if people want to, like an in memory of the grandstand, they want that named something. Anything that somebody may be interested in is available. And we've also talked with the school district about the possibility of naming rights. The money would be donated to us for the help to fund these athletic complexes, but they might want naming rights up at the gym, one of the two gyms. We're going to have two very large gyms, very nice gyms up at the new building. Maybe there might be naming rights for that, or even naming rights for the science wing of the new building. So nothing's really out the window when it comes to that.
Are there certain dollar amounts you are looking at for naming rights or bricks, etc.?
We've gone through some different amounts. We don't have anything set in stone as far as what the prices would be, but for example, we've broken the project down into approximate costs, what it's going to cost us to build the facilities. And the football field might cost, let's say it costs $3.5 million. Someone comes to us and says, here's $3.5 million for the football field. We're going to say, hey, what do you want to name it? So there are things of that nature, but obviously the people who come forward with the bigger donations, or that are motivated or interested in naming rights for a different facility, we'll sit down with them at that time and go over the numbers that we were hoping for, and maybe what they were interested in putting into it, and kind of go from there. As far as a specific dollar amount, we've talked about numbers but haven't assigned anything.
How can people get in touch with you to make contributions or donations for this project?
The same way you would get in touch with me that I mentioned earlier in the show. You can contact me at Catania Junior High School. Our president, Kirk Lorgan, is also the principal here at this building. You could contact him. But if you're ultimately, if you're interested in any one of our trustees that I mentioned earlier in the show, if you know them and you're interested in helping out, you could contact really any one of them, and that information will be brought back to the foundation, and we'll kind of take it in stride and go and figure out what the next step would be.
Is there anything else you'd like to add about this particular initiative?
The way I see it for this project, this is we want to make these state-of-the-art facilities. We want to make these things something that other school districts come to us and say, how did you do that? And in some cases, we do have other foundations coming to us that are looking to start new ones and say, well, how did you get started? But we're not in this to make a name for ourselves or for the foundation. We're in this solely for the purpose of benefiting the students and the community. And so I feel that it's a very worthy cause. Of course, there are a lot of things out there that cost an awful lot of money right now. But I guess the only thing I would add is if there's anybody in the community, all donations, big or small, whether it's $5 or $100 or whatever it might be, are more than welcome and will help with this project. So if you're at all interested in doing it, just reach out to one of our trustees or myself and let us know, and we'll kind of walk you through the steps.
Finally, and again for our viewers, what are some of the deadlines that you're hoping to reach during this process?
We need to get funding in place quickly. If we have people come forward, not that we expect this to happen, but say we had enough people come forward where they said, here, between all of us, here's $8.5 million. And we're not expecting somebody to come to us and say, here's $100,000 right now. Yeah. Up front, we might be able to set up a plan where it's, we sign a contract where X amount of dollars is paid over 5 years or over 10 years. All we need to do is know that we're going to have that money coming in to back the loan that we're going to need in order to build the facilities. If we have people come forward and we have the $8 million, $8.5 million accounted for, it will make it a lot easier for us to move forward with the project and dealing with what we have to deal with financially. So if that were to happen in the next couple of months, then we may be able to get all the facilities ready. We don't anticipate that, but like I said, the main benchmark we're at right now is getting as much funding in place as we can as soon as possible so that we can start going to the banks and get everything laid out and get the football facility and the field house facility built for the beginning of the 15th school year.
Okay, well, we are going to take one more break, and when we come back, we will discuss what EITC dollars are and what it means for businesses who can donate to the ASD Foundation. Isn't that right? Make sure.
Hello, I'm Cindy McCrae, Director of Arc Manor Addiction Recovery Center. Arc Manor is committed to confidential quality services 24 hours a day, including fully licensed residential, partial hospital, and outpatient treatment programs. With 39 years of experience in addiction treatment, Arc Manor puts an emphasis on the needs of special populations including women, co-occurring disorders, and adolescents. For more information, call 724-548-7607 or 800-323-1333. Brought to you by the Armstrong, Indiana Drug-Free Communities Coalition.
Before I came to IUP, I had no idea what college would be like or what role I would play or where I'd be in the future. But when I came to IUP, everything changed. I met people who really made me feel like I belonged. I had great classes at a great nationally ranked university. Hi, my name's Megan Miller. I'm a fine arts major, and this is my university.
Vince Mercury, Executive Director of the Open Door. Worried, scared, confused, not sure where to turn for help? The Open Door, a behavioral health organization, has a full range of addiction counseling services and mental health crisis intervention services which may be able to help. Call 724-465-2605 or 1-877-333-2470. The Open Door, steps towards hope, courage, and recovery. Brought to you by the Armstrong, Indiana Drug-Free Communities Coalition.
We are back with Education Today, and now we are going to briefly cover what EITC dollars are and how they've helped the ASD Foundation. Earlier we mentioned another source of money that the foundation has available to it. Could you speak about EITC money and what it is and how it's used?
Sure. What EITC stands for is Educational Improvement Tax Credits. These are monies that specifically come from companies or organizations that are donated to nonprofit organizations throughout at least the state of Pennsylvania. I'm sure that it is used in other states in some form, but what the money is, and one of the incentives for for an organization or company to donate that money is obviously just not the money going back into the community that help build their company to begin with, but also like I said before, would write up receipts, and they would have there would be tax write-offs involved in that. But there are very specific guidelines on how a nonprofit can use EITC dollars. They have to be used in some kind of a technological format as far as what is being purchased with that money. So, for example, the robotics course that the school district tried to offer or is offering currently, a lot of the things that had to be bought for that were different technologically related items. And one of the stipulations is it has to be something that would not normally be bought by the school district to supply students with. So if somebody wrote a grant for calculators, a regular calculator, we wouldn't be able to fund that through EITC dollars. Now, if it was for a specific purpose and it was a graphing calculator, they're more expensive, obviously. It's something the school district really isn't purchasing for the students, then that would be something we'd be able to use that money for. But the EITC dollars are primarily responsible for the iPad carts. Without that money, we would not be able to have done that. Those iPad carts range in price anywhere from $15,000 to $18,000 or $19,000, and that's to get 25. I think it's 30 iPads and the cart with the wireless access point attached to it. And we've had many different donors over the years that have done that. The weather bug was that was EITC dollars as well. And really one of our biggest donors over the last couple of years for this has been F&M Bank. They've been one of the biggest ones. And I don't want to slight anybody because we had several other ones. And like I mentioned before, we've had Northwest Savings donate money. And we've had a lot of different organizations that work for the school district in some manner, some shape or form, whether they be contractors or whoever, that have also donated money for those different purposes. So,
to take a step away for 1 minute from EITC, for businesses interested in donating, what does donating to a nonprofit such as the AHS-TV Foundation mean for them?
The two primary things that I already mentioned, basically, being that they can be assured that the money that they would be donating to a nonprofit in general, but specifically our foundation, is going to go right back into your community. Obviously, the students in a community are the ones that you hope are going to that you educate, become successful, and help maintain the community and improve the community. So, all the money that we receive is going to go right back into our students. And the second thing would be that there are tax write-offs, and I don't know exactly what that involves or what the incentives are, but as far as that goes, but there are tax write-offs involved when you donate to a nonprofit.
Is there a certain process in the spending of this money that you have to follow?
Yeah, there's very specific processes that we have to follow with it. You have to be recognized by the state government as a company or a nonprofit that is allowed to accept EITC dollars. And that's a yearly renewal that we have to do. So we have to send a packet of information to Harrisburg that includes our tax information, what money we have. It has to have a letter of support from the district superintendent. And we also have to have anything funded by EITC. We have to have specific breakdowns of what we gave to be used and what that money was specifically used to purchase. Otherwise, we could lose that accreditation and not be approved for it the following year. It's kind of a long, strenuous process you have to go through, but it's very much worth it in the end. And then as far as, I already mentioned basically the guidelines we have to follow in order for a project to be funded through EITC dollars. So,
quickly, can you tell us about the Do Re Mi program?
Yeah, the Do-Re-Mi program is something I mentioned at the beginning of the show, one of the first initiatives that was started, and I believe that this was a brainchild of Lisa Lambert, who has served, she had a couple of kids who came through the school district, have moved on and graduated. She's continued to serve as a community representative. For a while she held the vice president and then president's position. She kind of stepped back from that, but has been willing to stay on the foundation, and she is somebody who knows an awful lot of people in the community, is very well respected. There's a lot of things she does for our foundation that we couldn't do otherwise. But I believe the Do-Re-Mi program was a brainchild of hers. And what it was it kind of came about as saying there's a lot of students who come through that are interested in musical instruments, especially in 3rd and 4th grade when they're being introduced to them. And if you've never played a musical instrument or looked at purchasing one, they're very, very expensive, even to rent. And so what we had the idea of is, and I think it originally started with somebody who had an instrument their kid used to play, didn't know what to do with it, and so they said, well, why don't we take these in? And so that's what we did. We take instruments in from the community. And it doesn't matter if it's an individual or a company or whatever it is. We got these instruments brought into us, and we formed a partnership with Murphy's Music Center. And I can't say enough for what those guys do. Any instrument that comes to us gets sent first to them to be refurbished and decide can this project or can this instrument be salvaged, basically. If it can, they clean it up. If pads need replaced or anything, they get it all cleaned up, sent back to us, and that's all free of charge to us. And then what we do is we send out information to all of the elementary music teachers at the beginning of each year. And normally in the fall, after the school year started, normally around October, we set a deadline for applications to come back. And then I get them into the hands of the teachers to get to the students as soon as I can after that. And there is different, not requirements, but when we're deciding who receives instruments, there are certain things that we look at as far as that I'm not really going to go into detail about, but certain things that we look at as far as the neediness, I guess, of the instrument. And currently we have nearly 60 instruments that are out being used by students. Some of them got that instrument when they were in 4th grade and are still playing it now. Yeah. I think the instrument that we gave out the longest period of time ago was the 08-09 school year. Mm-hmm. So, and what basically happens was it's nearly 60 instruments. We have flutes, clarinets, alto and tenor saxes, trumpets, trombones. We even had a French horn and a cornet get donated. We had 2 bell kits get donated, which it's not something typically a student goes into. So I reached out to the music instructors, and the first 2 that said, yeah, I'm interested, we can find a use for this. We got it out to them that way. And basically the way it works is the student puts in an application for the instrument. Once it's approved, I contact their parents to let them know, and then the teacher. We get the instrument in the hand of the teacher, and then the student runs with it. If a student when the student graduates, or if they move out of the district or decide to quit the instrument for whatever reason, the expectation then, and this has gone very well with the music teachers kind of keeping an eye on instruments coming through, the instrument is to be returned back to us. So once they graduate, once they decide to stop playing, then that instrument should come back to me. It gets sent back to me. We send it down to Murphy's Music Center. They get it refurbished, sent back up, and then we get it back out to a student again. So,
what are the future hopes and dreams of the ASD Foundation?
In the immediate future, we have a couple of primary buildings yet that we want to get iPad carts into. Then we'll put an eye towards the secondary buildings and see what we can do there. The traveling planetarium we'd love for that to get used more often. It gets used maybe a half a dozen times a year. And if you have questions about that, I can get you in contact with if there's a teacher out there who's hearing this, I can get you in contact about that and see about it being used. We have had outside organizations ask about using it in the summer when there would be no teachers here to use it, that we have kicked around the idea of doing and renting it out for that purpose. So those are maybe some of the immediate things. Obviously, we want to get this capital campaign really going. And we want to increase the payroll donations if we can from the faculty and staff. The way we put it every year is if you donated $1 per paycheck, per pay, to the foundation during the course of a school year, what that essentially comes out to being is like a cup of coffee. So if you can say if you can, give up 1 or 2 cups of coffee per month, and we were able to get that kind of funding from, and we know we're not going to get from all of the faculty and staff, but if we got it from them, we'd be talking about tens of thousands of dollars that we bring in that's all going right back into the classrooms, and most importantly benefits the teachers themselves. I would say those are maybe the immediate hopes and dreams we have, and of course that ultimate dream we have right now is getting that athletic facility up for the community, and just continuing to be able to fund the different innovative grants that come across our table.
Do you have anything else you would like to add to, for the benefit of our viewers, such as maybe the grants awarded or even money distributed?
Sure. I guess the one thing I'll add about the grants is we used to do 2 primary grant offerings, and one would be a deadline at the end of the school year in May, which we would review and award those grants in the fall of the following school year. And the second one would be a deadline in November that those grants would be awarded in December for the second half of the school year. What we decided to do this year is we do a rolling grant process. So on the I think it's the 25th of each month is the deadline to have an application in for a grant. That grant then would be reviewed at our monthly foundation meeting, which is the second week of normally of every month. And then if we decide to accept that grant and award it, then it gets awarded. So you could write a grant in January, like say we're coming into March now. You could write that grant by the 25th of March and have that grant in play by the end of April. But since the foundation's inception, we've put over $106,000, affecting over 16,000 students, back into the school district. What that doesn't include is an additional $17,500 that we've awarded this year, and that also doesn't include the money or the students that have been affected by the iPad carts that we already have out there. And like I said, each one of those carts is $15,000 to $20,000 a pop. So you're looking at up to $60,000 additional that have been put in with the carts. And the students affected, those are basically available for any primary teacher that teaches. I think they're right now, depending on the building, ranges between 3rd and 6th grade, I believe. So there's an unlimited number of students who benefit from that each year, because of course they're coming up through. So the 3rd graders, 2nd graders this year will get to benefit next year, for example. So, and other than that, the only thing I can say is if you're at all interested in donating any time, money, instruments, anything like that to the foundation, just get a hold of one of our trustees, and we'll be more than willing and happy to try to make it a pleasurable experience for everyone.
Well, that's our show for tonight. Every year, the ASD Foundation gives our students more and more reasons to look forward to going to school so that they can take advantage of these great opportunities. I'd like to thank our guest, Mr. Chris Garetano of the ASD Foundation, for being on the show. I'd also like to thank all the Foundation's donors, individuals, retired and current teachers, companies big and small, because of the ASD Foundation lives by donations. We also need to thank our film crew. Today we had Ford City High School students led by teacher Miss Catherine Gibbon. Please join us again next week for another look at the Armstrong School District. DVD copies of this and All Education Today program can be requested by contacting myself, Chris Garetano, and the Catania Junior High School. Visit our website for updated news and information about the district. Have a great week. The ASD Foundation relies on donations which are then given back to students for expanded educational opportunities. If you would like to give, call the ASD Foundation at 724-543-1154, extension 228, or mail us a check made payable to the ASD Foundation and mail it to the ASD Foundation. 210 North McKean Street, Katanning, PA 16201. It's a registered 501c3 nonprofit organization, and all donations are tax deductible. You can also visit our website and donate online, www.asd.k12.pa.us/ASD Foundation. Thanks for your support.